Djokovic is warning ahead of the final with Alcaraz in Australia. Serbian Novak Djokovic has been answering questions about a possible retirement for a long time. He never gets tired of repeating that it has not crossed his mind, that there is no preconceived plan. He has even hinted that he is excited about competing in the Los Angeles 2028 Olympic Games. Noel bases his continuity on his love for tennis and the fact that he still feels competitive. He finished last season as world number 4, despite significantly reducing his schedule, and reached the semifinals of all 4 Grand Slam tournaments. His only problem is the dominance of Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, the 2 best at the moment, although I already said that it wasn't impossible for me to beat them if I was physically well, he recalled after eliminating the Italian at the Australian Open. This result in Melbourne reinforces his idea of continuing on the tour. At 38 years old, he will play his 11th final at the Australian Open. He has not lost any so far. He will put his unbeaten record on the line against Carlos Alcaraz this Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Spanish Peninsular Time. His victory in the semifinals felt like a title. He defeated Sinner, 24, and the defending champion, in 5 sets. In a defiant tone, he settled scores with those who would prefer him not to be included in competition draws. Djokovic took his revenge. I never stop believing in myself. There are many people who doubt me. I see many experts who wanted to retire me or retired me many times over the last few years. I want to thank them because they gave me strength, they motivated me to prove that they are wrong, he said. He will play his 38th Grand Slam final, chasing his 25th title, which would break the tie with Australian Margaret Court. In front of him, a Carlos Alcaraz 16 years younger. Biologically, the most normal thing is that he recovers better than I do from the efforts of the semi-finals. God will decide, said Djokovic, who never stops surprising. He had not competed in a Grand Slam final since Wimbledon 2024. His most recent title dates back to the 2023 US Open. He last reigned at the Australian Open in 2023, failing to go beyond the penultimate round in 2024 and 2025, when he lost to Jannik Sinner and retired injured against Alexander Zverev, respectively. Alcaraz's comment about the Australian Open that left everyone speechless. The Mercian tennis player will face Novak Djokovic in the grand final and has made winning this Grand Slam in Melbourne his top priority. Carlos Alcaraz has an obsession: becoming champion at the Australian Open. It is the only Grand Slam he is missing, and in this edition he has already qualified for the grand final. He will play for the title against an absolutely heroic Novak Djokovic, who took down Jannik Sinner in 5 sets. After his match, Carlos joked about his desire to win in Melbourne. I would choose to win this one if I reach the final of the other 3. He wants to have all 4 majors. In addition to Australia, Roland Garros, Wimbledon and the US Open. He already has the last 3 in his trophy cabinet. Yes, I prefer to complete the Grand Slam and be the youngest to do it, Carlos said with a smile. A confession that surely is not real, because he has many more Grand Slams to win in a career that has only just begun. The final between Alcaraz and Djokovic will be played this Sunday in the Spanish morning hours, starting at 9:30 a.m. at Rod Laver Arena. The Serb breaks a 5-match losing streak against Sinner and faces Alcaraz in the Australian Open final. Ignoring Novak Djokovic is risky. Just when Jannik Sinner seemed on course for his 4th consecutive Grand Slam final against Carlos Alcaraz at the Australian Open, the tireless Serb produced a memorable comeback to earn the chance to play for his 25th Grand Slam crown. I never stopped believing in myself, said the 10-time Australian Open champion, who will face Carlos Alcaraz in Sunday's final at Melbourne Park. A lot of people doubt me. Many experts wanted me to retire or retired me many times over the last 2 years. I want to thank them all, because they gave me strength. They motivated me to prove them wrong, and I did that tonight. For me, it's not a surprise, honestly, said Djokovic, who came back from a 2-1 deficit to break a 5-match losing streak against the 2-time defending champion Sinner, winning 3-6, 6-3, 4-6, 6-4, 6-4 in a 4-hour and 9-minute thriller that ended at 1:30 a.m. Djokovic, who announced that he would not train on Saturday, made the most of his good fortune to reach the semi-finals. In the 4th round, he advanced after Jakub Mensik did not show up, having previously defeated the Serb in Miami. In the quarterfinals, he was down 2-0 against Lorenzo Musetti before the Italian retired due to a right leg injury. But against Sinner, an opponent 14 years younger than him, Djokovic's resilience, conviction, and courage underpinned a deserved victory, in which he saved 16 of 18 break points, including all 8 in the final set. I consider it the best victory of the last 2 years, said Djokovic. Without a doubt, one of the best performances of the last decade. I was lucky that, obviously, Lorenzo got injured and retired in that match. 2 days later, obviously, another opponent. I knew exactly what to expect and had great clarity about the strategy, the game plan, and what I had to execute. One thing is imagining how you want to play, and another is delivering and executing it on the court against Sinner, who we all know is playing at an extremely high level. I am delighted to be able to experience something like this tonight, he said. The victory was Djokovic's first 5-set match since Roland Garros 2024, when he survived against Francisco Cerundolo. So far, Djokovic has not lifted a Grand Slam trophy since the 2023 US Open, after watching Alcaraz and Sinner share the 8 majors over the last 2 years. On Sunday, while Djokovic tries to become the oldest Australian Open champion, Alcaraz, 22, is aiming to become the youngest player to complete the Grand Slam. Djokovic leads Alcaraz 5-4 in their Lexus ATP Head-to-Head series, having won 3 of their 4 meetings on hard courts. But when Alcaraz broke through to secure his only hard court victory in the semifinals of the 2025 US Open, Djokovic openly expressed doubts about his ability to defeat the Spaniard and Sinner in 5-set matches at majors. Now he will have the chance to prove himself wrong in consecutive matches in what would be one of the most remarkable feats of his unparalleled career. History is on the line for both of us every time we play, said Djokovic, who has spent a record 424 weeks at number 1 in the PIF ATP rankings during his career. My preparation is adequate, and I beat him here last year, in the quarterfinals, also in a grueling match. We'll see. Let's see how fresh we both can be. He also had a great match, but he's 15 or 16 years younger than me. Biologically, I think it will be a bit easier for him to recover. I'm just trying to enjoy the moment I'm living tonight. I'll think about the final later, but for me, this victory is almost like winning a Grand Slam. Rafa Nadal reveals his pick for the Australian Open final between Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic. All tennis fans have been glued to their televisions for days watching the semi-finals of the 2026 Australian Open, with extremely intense matches. Both players reached 5 sets, and Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic emerged victorious. Today they will face each other in a final that promises to be magnificent in Melbourne, a high-level clash in which the winner will make history. And it was precisely another great of the sport, Rafa Nadal, 39, who wanted to send a message to his Spanish compatriot just hours before this important moment. Nadal and his message for Alcaraz. Speaking to the international press in front of the Margaret Court Arena, Nadal said he had greatly enjoyed Djokovic's recent win over Sinner. He also wanted to talk about something Alcaraz had mentioned recently, recalling when Nadal himself played a tough semifinal in that same venue in 2009 against Fernando Verdasco, before lifting his first title just 2 days later. Everyone follows their own path, and obviously when that happened he was very young and not aware of anything, Rafa explained to the press, recalling that at that time Alcaraz was just a child. But when you are a child and you grow up watching what others do, in some way you can be inspired and develop passion for what you've seen. And that's something that happened to me and could also happen to Carlos, Nadal said, aware that Alcaraz could lift the trophy in this Sunday's final. I'm sure Carlos will recover, even though it was a long battle. The other semifinal wasn't short either, and I think he has a better chance of recovering than Novak Djokovic, Nadal's choice of winner. When asked who should win, the Spaniard had no doubts in choosing the new promise of Spanish tennis, while also having kind words for the Serb. With Djokovic we had an incredible history, with all those years competing for the most important things, and I wish him all the best, he explained. But of course, Carlos is from my country, I have a good relationship with him, we shared the Olympic Games together, we share the Spanish team, making it clear that his heart is with Alcaraz. If Novak wins, I'll be happy for him because what he's doing at this stage of his career is spectacular. So I'll be happy, it won't be a drama for me. But if I have to support someone, I feel I should support Carlos, he concluded. And whoever wins, tomorrow we will witness history in this sport. As explained by eldiario.es, if the Serb lifts the trophy he will become the oldest Grand Slam winner at 38, but if the Spaniard wins he will become the youngest player in history to complete the 4 majors, at just 22 years old. The most intense final in tennis. As for what will happen tomorrow and how they are approaching it, the aforementioned outlet collected the responses of the 2 main protagonists of the day. Djokovic said that history is at stake for both of us every time we play, agreeing with Nadal regarding Alcaraz's physical condition, given that he is younger. My preparation is adequate, and I beat him here last year, also in an exhausting match. Let's see how fresh we both can be. He also had a great match, but he's 15 or 16 years younger than me. Biologically, I think it will be a bit easier for him to recover. I'll think about the final later, but for me, this victory is almost like winning a Grand Slam. Carlos's last match against Alexander Zverev was one of the toughest of his career, something he himself explained afterward. It's been one of the most demanding matches of my life. Physically I reached my limit, but I'm very proud because I believed the whole time, he said. When I was a teenager there were matches where I didn't fight, I gave up, and then I spent days thinking that I could have done more. That thought killed me. That's why now I never want to give up. I know that every second of fighting is worth it and that it's important to be proud of myself the next day.